From boudin to the best burgers Acadiana has to offer, it's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany. Here we talk about all the food happenings around Acadiana. If you like food, tune in. You might learn something new. I hope you guys are safe indoors, under the covers, listening to the radio show, maybe eating some soup or gumbo. This weather is nasty, and I'm kind of sad to see that there's some more flooding going on. But hopefully you guys are dry, unlike me. I have incredibly wet feet doing the show right now. I really need to invest in some rain boots, especially for living in Southwest Louisiana. I can't believe I haven't learned my lesson by now. Joining me tonight as guest co-host is Addison Killebrew. He is the co-founder of Waitr. And if you're not familiar with Waitr, you're probably living under a rock. It kind of took Lafayette by storm. It is one of the hottest delivery services in Acadiana. It's going across the state now. It's even available in California. So we're very happy to have him on the show tonight. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Addison.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, and it is raining, so this is one of y'all's more popular nights, right? Y'all are
definitely
very busy when it's raining.
Yeah. I mean, when it rains, everyone kind of says, well, let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can have the waiter come save the day.
Exactly. No one wants to leave. I mean, I don't blame them. And if you are a delivery driver for Waitr or any other delivery drivers out there, I salute you right now because this weather is yucky. Okay, so Walmart on Pinhook recently launched this delivery. Almost a delivery service, kind of, in that you can order your groceries online. You can go in and pick them up at the store. Being that it was raining really badly today, I decided to check it out. I had heard some positive feedback on the service, so I decided to check it out to see what it was about. Found ordering groceries online to be a little overwhelming as opposed to the store. I don't know. I guess I felt like so much more products
there's a lot of things on that list.
Right. As opposed to just scanning it. But it was really easy. I mean, you just type in what you're searching for and it'll bring up, every single thing that matches that or things that are close to that. Went through or had everything in my shopping cart. And then you have to schedule your pickup. And they only offer every hour scheduled pickups. And there was none for today. In fact, there was only one tomorrow and a few the next day. So apparently you have to do this a few days in advance. And I kind of was like, what's the point of that? I don't know. I'm not one of those really prepared people with my shopping list. So I don't know what I'm going to need that far in advance always, or to have enough. Yeah, so it was kind of a butt dud for me today. I guess I'll check it out again in the future. If anyone out there has used it and liked it, definitely let me know and I can get some feedback from that. But it kind of, since you were coming on the show today, I know when Zach McMath had came on the show, he had kind of mentioned and hinted that you guys might be partnering to start a grocery service with Waitr. Is that something that you guys might be doing in the future?
I mean, it's something we're looking at for sure. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. When you said you had to wait and find that hour slot, it'd be super convenient if you could have the Waitr delivery driver go bring it directly to your house. So
right.
We're kind of looking to see. There's a lot of different options we can go. But if we can make customers a little bit happier that way, then we'll keep looking into it.
Might be a next step for Waitr.
Yeah,
I'll be on the lookout for it. So dining out this week, I went to Baton Rouge last night and I checked out this place called The Londoner, and it's a British pub. Have you been there before? No. Okay. It was cool. They had a very extensive beer menu. So if you're really into beer, I would definitely go check it out. We checked out this chocolate stout that I am blanking. It had the name of the stout was almost like Yoo-hoo, and it was a chocolate stout, and it was really good. I had that. And they had, your basic, they had bangers and mash, which if you don't know what bangers are, it's sausage. And they had fish and chips, and they had shepherd's pie. I got the shepherd's pie, and it was pretty darn good. And it was a huge portion of it as well. There's only one place in Lafayette that I believe you can get shepherd's pie at, and it's a good shepherd's pie too, but it's a smaller portion. So this one was nice and big and hearty, and the mashed potatoes and the cheese and everything on top. The wine gravy that they kind of cooked it in was wonderful. So it was really good. Wasn't that big of a fan of the bangers. My boyfriend got the bangers and chips. He didn't do bangers and mash. He got bangers and chips. They served it with a Guinness gravy, which the gravy was great. But the bangers, it's a very mild English sausage.
Aren't they like the smaller sausage?
Yes. Not on Dewey. Not an on Dewey sausage. So if you're used to a spicier sausage, this may not be for you. So maybe pass on that. But definitely, if you're in Baton Rouge, check out the Londoner and get that shepherd's pie. It was great. Chadwick Crawford taught a cocktail gardening class this past Friday at the Urban Naturalist. Urban Naturalist has been doing several programs like this, and I really like it and enjoy it. It's very educational. You get to drink some cool cocktails and see what some of the really innovative bartenders in town are doing. So Chadwick, two of the cocktails that we had, the first one was called a Spilanthes Gimlet. And the Spilanthes is this pod that was used in early dentistry, and it basically numbs your mouth. Like, we got to eat a pod before we got the drink, and he said it was similar to a pepper, but in like a numbing sense. And he said it basically sterilizes your mouth. So you bite into it and your whole mouth goes numb. And it feels like you're tasting sour, but you're not. It's just like your mouth is so dry, and then you start salivating a whole lot. Weirdest, craziest sensation. But the ancient Mayans used this for dentistry. So, that's how far that's been going on. And then we got to taste the cocktail that was made with it, a much milder effect. But it was kind of cool that we had our palate completely cleansed, and then we got to taste this gimlet, and it had like a nice, real cooling sensation to it. So it was a really cool experience. Very nice palate cleansing cocktail. And then the next thing that he made, which is proof of why I put Chadwick on the 2016 Culinary Faces to Watch list, because he's very creative and innovative. He made a muddled mustard green mojito, like mojito in quotations. And it was such a great example of using place, like you're in the South, and what's in season. So it was incredibly just spot on for that. And he used a sugarcane vinegar. So technically the cocktail was probably like a shrub. But I couldn't drink a whole one because it had like a lot of a vinegar taste to it. And me and vinegar don't necessarily get along. But it was definitely interesting to have muddled collard green in a cocktail, because I would have never expected that. It also wasn't the greatest color. It was just like brown. It doesn't make the prettiest cocktail out there, but it was definitely something to experience. So if you guys want to check out these cocktail gardening classes that they're doing over at the Urban Naturalist, go follow him on Facebook. You can sign up for the newsletter, and then you can get little emails when the different classes are coming. He's doing really cool things over there, and I really appreciate it. Okay, we are going to take our first break, and when we come back, we have more with Addison. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPAL.
And now, we talk about food. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPAL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPAL. I'm your host, Tiffiany, and joining tonight as guest co-host is Addison Killebrew, who is the co-founder of Waitr. Okay, so how did Waitr get its start? Let's start there.
So Waitr started back in 2013 in October. It was actually Chris Moe, one of the other founders. He came to Gainesville, Florida, and at the time I was going to school there. Me and Evan Diaz-DRC, one of the other founders, were going to school there. And he wanted to figure out how he could bring entrepreneurship to Lake Charles. So he came down, and it was for an event called Startup Weekend. Now, Startup Weekend, it's a really cool event. It's sponsored by Google. It happens in a lot of college towns. Baton Rouge has one, I know. And you have to try to create a business in 54 hours. So we kind of had the idea to start running there. We went and talked to customers. We went and talked in restaurants and figured out if it's something they wanted to do. And then we won that competition in Gainesville. And then Chris Moe came back to Lake Charles, and he was like, I'm going to continue this idea. Because after the competition, you don't really have a business. You just kind of
Right.
you have an idea, a concept. And he said, I'm going to continue this. And so he found two super smart engineers from McNeese, Manuel Rivera and Adam Ername. And then they started developing the product. Then they created the app. They created the whole dashboard that the restaurants use. And then we just started talking to restaurants and figuring out how they liked it.
So it started in the Lake Charles area, and then went to the Lafayette market. When did it start in the Lafayette market?
That was April 2015. Yeah.
I want to say because I met with you guys last year, and I had not used the product yet, and you guys were talking to me about it. And up until that point, I was not a fan of, I'm going to be completely honest, I wasn't that big of a fan of delivery services. I found them to be expensive. Kind of didn't see the point. After that meeting, used the app so incredibly. I was like, this is incredibly easy. And I became addicted to the point that for a while I was calling Waitr my boyfriend. Because we were like in a really close relationship. Because anytime I was having a bad day or a busy day or whatever, I'd be like, Waitr, my boyfriend Waitr is going to bring me some food. You know, I don't know what it's going to be yet, but he's going to bring it. And it kind of blew up from there. Like everyone started using it. Did you expect it to become as popular as it has become?
I mean, we always knew, especially coming to Lafayette, we had seen some of the popularity that Lake Charles had given the platform. And then when it comes down to it, there's killer restaurants out here. If you have good food and you have a rainy night, everyone's like, let's try it out.
This is a perfect example.
Yeah.
A lot of times that I've enjoyed it and found it incredibly helpful is when I've been sick and I can't get out of bed and make anything. I'll order comfort food from Waitr and have it delivered to me, and I can eat it in bed while I'm sick. There was a recent Eater actually did a week of delivery articles a while back, and there was a lady that had wrote an article that she has this chronic condition to where she can't be sitting up straight for many hours a day. So cooking for her was rather difficult, and delivery services were very helpful for her because she was able to eat. Was that an aspect that you kind of thought would be a use for it?
It never really kind of started that way. It wasn't.
Yeah.
That wasn't like we first imagined, started thinking about how the product worked. But we've had multiple stories of people, like the app has an accessibility feature that someone who's blind can actually get the whole menu read out.
Oh,
to
wow.
them. And so we've had people who are blind be able to order. People who are in a wheelchair who just didn't want to have to go through the whole struggle to get out to a restaurant. And these are people that used to rely on Chinese takeout and pizza, which, I mean, every now and then Chinese takeout or pizza is great.
Right.
But to be opened up to getting the real comfort food of Louisiana and having that be able to deliver to your door, I mean, that's awesome. And it was cool. It was cool for us to see how we could affect someone's life like that.
There is nothing greater than having a fever of 102 and having the flu and getting a burger and fries and milkshake delivered to you, or pho.
Pho, yeah.
Pho is like my favorite thing now.
Move when I'm sick.
To get, chicken noodle soup and quotations delivered to you. I mean, it's a pretty special thing we have it. So thank you. And that being said, delivery services have kind of blown up all nationwide. And it's kind of become the new normal. And did you guys foresee that, like, when you were creating this? Or is it just kind of the timing happened to be right with what's happening nationally? I mean, what kind of research did y'all do into that with what was happening nationally with delivery services?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that came because of the fact that just the way our world's working, there's a lot of on-demand things. I mean, now people have the button you can press and get products shipped to you instantly. They have the Uber where they can get picked up for their their taxi service. So we wanted to see how we could connect people with food with that same kind of on-demand necessity. And we focused we just kind of went and talked to restaurants, and we wanted to make sure our product, whatever we did, it could emphasize the high quality food that restaurants produce. We wanted it to be an art gallery for the restaurant. So that's when you open up the app, you can see all those pictures. We said we don't want to just have a text-based menu.
Right. You want to have actual pictures of what you're looking at.
Yeah, and it's really cool on going in on that feature that like when you order from a place and the menu item, you read it and you're like, I have no idea what that is.
But then you see a picture of it.
Yeah, now you're more comfortable to try it out because you're like, that looks like something I would eat. I'll try it out.
I like that. I like that rationale for that. And I do see that point to that. That's really cool. And then you guys, so started in Lake Charles, went to Lafayette. How many markets are you guys in now?
So we're in 15 markets now. And that's across 4 states. So we're in California, Texas, Louisiana, and Alabama.
And you're about to be in California?
No, we're in California.
You're in California.
In Roseville, California. It's a town outside of Sacramento.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's it been in California?
I mean, it's good. Yeah, it's a different world than in South Louisiana. But we're definitely figuring it out, and we also have just found really good restaurant partners up there who kind of believe in the same thing that we're trying to make. We're trying to care about the restaurant. And once we get good partners, it becomes easy. We're just helping them get their food to their customers.
Does Lafayette continue to be the strongest market, or are other? You said Baton Rouge was also
so Lake Charles and Lafayette are 2 of our strong markets right now. That's just kind of where we started. Baton Rouge is growing every day, just tremendously. There's a lot of opportunity out there, and we're starting to get into some of the college students and things like that. But yeah, I'd say the strong 3 right now are Lake Charles, Lafayette, and Baton Rouge. With all of our markets really starting to grasp on, especially we're starting to get people who travel.
Yeah.
So that they'll try the app in Lafayette, then they'll travel to Baton Rouge, or they'll travel to Houston, and then they'll use the app again. So it's really
I have to admit that since I downloaded the app when I travel, I do. So another reason why I like this app is because it has all the menus on it.
Yep.
And I may not necessarily be ordering from Waitr, but if I'm traveling and I'm in that town, I like to see what restaurants are out there. And it's a good way for me to look at it and see what the menu is to decide if I want to go to the restaurant, do I want to get it, sent to the hotel room or not. So that's another thing that I really, I use the app for. It's better than Yelp.
Yeah.
So I can kind of like look at the menu and make decisions from there. How's the New Orleans market?
It's doing really good. I mean, again, amazing food.
Right.
So it's as long as we just keep talking with the right restaurants, getting the right people on board, we're seeing tremendous growth there. Now that's one of our newer markets. So we're always excited to find more restaurant partners, and it's just been really tremendous. Now we don't deliver into the French Quarter yet.
Okay. I was wondering how, like, traffic wise with the bigger markets. I mean, Lafayette's relatively small, but we have a big traffic problem here. But even in bigger cities like New Orleans or Baton Rouge, how the traffic factors into delivery in those markets.
Yeah, so we try to use technology as much as we can to just set a clear expectation for customers. So when they order and it tells them when their food will arrive, we use traffic estimates of the time. So we make sure that it's kind of calculating and saying, well, this should be a realistic time based off traffic. Now, if an accident happens in the time between that, we try to make sure we contact the customer and let them know why it's maybe running behind or anything like that. But in the bigger cities, I mean, it really starts to become an issue. I mean, when you think about, we say how we order because it's raining and we just don't want to have to go out in the rain. Well, we have people order in some of the bigger markets like Houston just because they don't want to go on the traffic.
Right. One of my coworkers, her boyfriend lives in Baton Rouge, and they use Waitr all the time in Baton Rouge because traffic is so bad they don't want to leave, and she's obsessed with Waitr for that reason. But yeah, I mean that makes sense too. I almost feel like, because I keep trying to imagine, say you guys go to New York City and you're in that market, and they do have a ton of delivery services there, but a lot of their delivery services are on bike because it's easier for them to maneuver through traffic. So I'm wondering if that might be an option.
Yeah, we've looked at
in the
for
different
kind of
options.
like college towns, and like if we were to go in the French Quarter, we'd have to start looking at things like
right.
that. But for now, most of the cities we're in, we can navigate with the car just fine.
So one of the fears that has arisen with the popularity of delivery, takeaway services, also things like Blue Apron, like people staying home, wanting to cook at home, was that the idea of what we know as the restaurant dining room is dying. How do you think how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it'll change, but I just don't. I can't see it dying. People like the experience of going out and eating. I think that there will be different ways of ordering. I think how you interact with the staff and how you can see food and understand food will be different. But I can't see everyone just all of a sudden just like buckling up and always staying home. People like to go out. They like to have a good time. So that's
right.
what restaurants do.
And that I kind of saw it as maybe it'll take away from the everyday diner, like the people, because people are starting to cook more at home, but you still have people work so much and it's hard for them that maybe like the everyday diner, it may take them out of the restaurant dining room, but you're still going to want to go and eat out for special occasions.
Exactly.
Like you still want to go celebrate the birthdays or the anniversaries or the job promotions or things like that. So I don't think that it's going to completely die, but I think that it's definitely changing and evolving. And you'll see, like, for instance, Copeland's closed, but they they're going to be opening like just a takeaway kind of service. And there's even restaurants, we were talking about New York a minute ago, that are completely delivery. Like they do not have a dining room at all. They are only on delivery. They're set up with delivery services. And there's that's a trend that restaurants are going to. Do you think that may happen in the Lafayette market?
I think there'll be a few restaurants who make a decision that's kind of what they want to do. They want to have a kitchen where they can just kind of send out their food. They don't have to pay for the large property space or anything like that. But I would say, on average, no. You'll still have that experience,
right?
I just think some people are gonna kind of play around with the concept. It's more of a concept kitchen kind of approach,
which again is like Zach McMath is work. That's one of the things that he's gonna be working on is test kitchens, and then possibly incorporating you guys into delivering for those test kitchens.
Yeah, we've seen the ability to kind of to open up those kind of places that don't have the tables and seats to fill the restaurant. So we've had a restaurant, Luna's, in Lake Charles, and they opened up a second kitchen that just cooks for Waitr. Then we've
wow, okay,
yeah. So they have Luna, and then they have Luna Live, and in the Luna Live they opened up a kitchen that kind of just helps it so that we can keep up with the delivery demand. And then we've seen we had a food truck, Sloppy Taco, and we started giving them enough business that they actually were able to open up a brick and mortar. So we really like the idea of creating new high quality food. So if we kind of give people a platform to do that and we put them out there before they've done all the marketing expense to get their name out, if we can put them on the app, then they can start getting business right away. I mean, that's kind of a dream come true for what we're doing.
Okay, we are going to take another break, and when we come back, we have more with Addison. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPAL.
She puts the wow, yum into words. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie herself on News Talk 96.5 KPAL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPAL. I'm your host, Tiffiany, and joining us tonight as guest co-host is the co-founder of Waitr, Addison Killebrew. We have someone calling, but I'm not able to answer phone calls while I'm on air. So if you want to ask a question, you can email me at lafayettefoodjunkie@gmail.com, and I'd be more than happy to answer your question, but we unfortunately cannot take any callers tonight. Okay, so right around the time, and this is something that I noticed, right around the time that you came to Lafayette was when the oil field started to slump. And I happen to know that a lot of people that were laid off from the oil field went and then started delivering for Waitr. So it was almost like a godsend that you guys started when you did, and these people that were laid off could find work. How many employees do you have right now?
So for drivers, we have about 250 drivers. And now some of them work full-time, some of them are just part-time. It's really cool because we can have all kinds of type of people. You can have a mom who just works when their kids are at school. You can have college students who work when they're around their classes. Then you'll have the people who just work the same 9 to 5 kind of regular schedule. But there's a bunch of different type of people who do different hours.
Yeah, I know that's one of the very popular things with you guys is that you're so convenient and flexible with your hours. Like I know a lot of people that use you as second incomes for their jobs too. Okay, so we talked earlier about Eater having that week of articles. They had an article that the minimum that they think that you should tip a driver is $5, no matter what, no matter the price of the thing. Obviously, if it's more expensive, you should be tipping higher, but the least that you should be tipping is $5. What do you think about that? And what would you say is the average tip for a Waitr driver?
So we see tips that kind of are really typical to the same thing you'd see when you're in a restaurant. And as long as you see it like that, it's an extension of this person is your waiter. They're offering a service to you. They're the ones driving through the rain or through the traffic or things like that. Then the tip, we see the tip that's going to be kind of typical, the 20 to 25 to 30 range. And people have been really good. People have let us know that they don't have any problem tipping our driver as long as they're getting the correct service and things like that. So I think the $5 makes sense, but if you're ordering something really small, I could see you going under that. Now it just really depends tips are so they're arbitrary. They always have kind of been an arbitrary thing. So.
And then I know some people that prefer to tip in cash as opposed to, you make it so easy on the app with your little sliding scale.
Smiley slider.
your little sliding scale of how much to tip. But I know a lot of people like to tip cash too. And I know the drivers get that. Yeah. So I didn't necessarily, the drivers that I talked to said $5 sounded about correct to them. I was just wondering, with the addition of like Sonic is on you guys now, McDonald's, if that may necessarily be skewing the tips lower because it's lower cost food. Yeah,
a lot of times when we get orders from like Sonic in particular, a lot of times those are big orders that are going to an office. Like a whole office will get happy hour.
Ice cream for everyone.
Yeah, and then they all jump on. So we get a bigger ticket. So then the driver ends up getting an appropriate tip.
Okay, well that's good to know. Yeah. That was another thing that I found was really convenient with your app was if you work for a medical office, a lot of times drug reps will buy you lunch. And it's easy for them to start the order. You have group orders. Explain what that is, because I probably won't do the best job of doing that.
So group order, it's a process when everyone can order off their own phone, and then it kind of combines it to one ticket. So how it works is one person will go and they'll start group order. They'll pick the restaurant. They'll let them know, am I buying it or is everyone paying for their own? And then it'll generate a code for them. Now they can send that code through text, email, word of mouth, however they want to tell their friends that they have this group order open. And then everyone go on their phone, they place their order, and once they hit submit, it'll ask them, is it individual or group? And they can hit group, and they can put in that 4-digit code, and then they're able to all join onto one ticket. The cool thing about that means there's only one person paying the delivery.
The servers, which is nice in our office, because the doctor usually will start the order and then we can and you can pay for your own order from your phone too, which makes it really nice.
Restaurants love it because they don't have to deal with the credit card shuffle where someone comes in and is like, well, this one on this card, this one on this card. And so it makes it a lot more simple for them too.
Do you think that, so if you go into your typical restaurant, your normal dining experience, the likelihood that there's a problem with your order is probably low. It can happen. It's the nature of the game. Do you think with Waitr it's higher or lower? Like, what has been the experience with people getting the wrong orders, the incorrect orders, something missing? What has the typical experience been?
Yeah, a lot of the restaurants tell us that it's actually a lot lower. The reason is especially if you're comparing it to like the call-in orders, a lot of times people will just misunderstand somebody. They'll skip one item, things like that. Things can happen. But when you're submitting it, you actually get to review your whole ticket before you hit that final submit button. So just like having it there, they can read through, visually see it. You're not stressed because on the phone you have to, the restaurants are busy. So they're not trying to rush you, but they have a lot of things to do. So it kind of slows everything down. You can kind of order at your own pace. And then, so a lot of times it increases just how accurate it is and how accurate your order is.
What has been the most popular food items to order in Lafayette?
So there's a few kind of genres that are just popular with delivery. One of the big ones is sushi. Sushi just does really well.
For the state, Louisiana, that was the most popular thing ordered was sushi.
Yeah. It's different than what you typically get delivered. So people see that and they're like, that's pretty cool to be able to get sushi and comfort of my own home. So that one's really popular. I was looking through some of the numbers. One of the interesting items that I saw was in the month of October, we delivered 350 plus orders of spinach and artichoke dip. So I don't know what it is about spinach and artichoke dip, but people in Lafayette love it. So
yeah, I was telling you a story before the show that maybe like 2 years ago I had ate at La Pizzeria, and I'm obsessed with their spinach and artichoke dip. Like, they have a great spinach and artichoke dip. Took a picture of it, posted it on Instagram, and it blew up. And I just like hashtagged it spinach and artichoke dip. Like, I had no idea that this hashtag was so popular. People like spinach and artichoke dip. Yeah. I think when I initially talked to y'all, pizza was again still the most popular. Is pizza still high up there?
It's what people first think about delivery. They think of, so they're like, "Oh, it's a delivery app. I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna get pizza." After they start using it, they start to discover more restaurants. So you'll come in, you'll get the pizza, you'll get what's comfortable. Then you'll like, "Oh, that worked out. I can trust this. Let me see where it goes." And then you'll start going into a lot of different like cuisine types. You'll start looking into Indian food. You start looking. You'll do the traditional burger. And there's a lot of different options that we have on the platform. So I think it's comfort. When you think delivery, you're like, I'm gonna try pizza. But the more you kind of use it, the more you look at different things. Now you still might one night say I still want pizza delivered, but you start to get more comfortable.
How popular has boudin delivery been on the app?
It's that and crawfish. The two that people are like, wait, you can get this delivered. And so we still have some of the places that'll just deliver boudin just in bulk for you. And I'm not from around here. I'm from Florida originally. For Thanksgiving, my whole family's from Florida, so we didn't know what boudin was when we came here. Like, it doesn't exist in Florida. So I was like, for Thanksgiving, I want to bring back something. So we were packing up the car, getting everything ready, and we placed an order for boudin to get it delivered right as we left for Thanksgiving. So we got a nice, fresh of frozen.
Nice.
We took it, and then we got to show everybody what it was.
Do you have a lot of people that will use the app to just deliver and pick up themselves?
Yeah, it's really common because you don't have to do that whole phone call situation, and then you swing by and you just like everything's paid for. So you go through the app, you submit, you walk into the restaurant, you let them know your name, and then they have your order ready for you. You grab it and you're good. So it's a great feature, especially people who start to say, okay, I'm using Waitr 3-4 times a week. At that point, those power users, they start looking into carryout as an option.
I'll use it sometimes, especially if it's something I'll be like, okay, how am I going home? When am I passing by?
Map out your route.
And I'll place the order and do it that way. I made the mistake of doing pickup for Antlers in Broussard one night, and the manager looked at me like I was crazy and once I got there, I realized why, because it was like 45 minutes from my house, and people normally with Waitr, he said they normally don't come and pick it up. They normally have it there delivered. Yeah. So I see, some places might be easier for that than others. Do you know how many people deliver, like one user, how many times a week they might use them? Do you have like numbers for that?
So I mean, we have our power users. We use it 4 or 5 times a week. But then on average, people use it about 2 to 3 times a month. And that's kind of just where we started. It started smaller, but it's starting to become just more.
I know I use
normal.
it like once a week.
Yeah, it's definitely starting to become more of a trend that it's growing up, that people are using it more and more.
All right, we are going to take another break, and when we come back, more with Addison. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
And now, the Lafayette Food Junkie Show, served up medium rare every Sunday night.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku, and we've been talking with the co-founder of Waitr, Addison Killebrew. So I have to ask, how often do you order takeout through Waitr?
So I use Waitr a couple times a week at least. Now the office has a daily order going, and we always use a group
really?
order. Yeah, so someone in the office always has one. You can jump onto that and just put in your group code, and you can be part of the mass order. We have a tradition of Pops Thursday is the one popular one that we have. So every Thursday we order from Pops Po' Boys, and we have one engineer who just loves it. And so he makes sure that we get those orders in.
I love that. I think I need to start that.
Yeah,
Pops is good stuff.
Get it going on that.
I need to start that order myself there. What is the future of Waitr? Like, where are you guys hoping to take the app and the business?
So, I mean, we want to grow this to a national brand. As we grow out, we're going to continue just kind of to work our way from our base where we're at. We're here in Lafayette and Lake Charles, Baton Rouge, and we went to New Orleans. We kind of just want to continue down the coast. We're going to keep growing our California market. So there's a lot of growth to happen on a national scale, but we also want to keep working on the product we have, and we're going to keep offering new features. I mean, we kind of talked about how groceries may be something that we kind of look into. We've talked about different capabilities of having a dine-in capability where you could order off your phone in there. We talked about opening up alcohol delivery.
I was actually going to ask about that. What is the legality of that? And is that something that you guys could do, the whole drive-through daiquiri and get it delivered to your house? Like, is that something that is feasible?
So it's something we've got a lot of interest from the restaurants. And from customers, and personally, I just would enjoy it.
Yes.
So we've been looking into it. We're trying to figure out the best way to make sure everything's, like you said, legal. Make sure that we cover all our bases. But it's something that we're definitely think there's a future opportunity there. So we're going to keep exploring out a few new ideas. So
you guys have regions that you can order from, and I always get it in my head that I want to order from a restaurant in Crowley, but I can't because I'm in Lafayette. And from the consumer side, it seems like it makes sense, but logistically and from the business side, it doesn't make sense for you guys to do that. You want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so when we have our kind of the delivery price you pay and all those things, we have to really think about what the distance is and what the driver will make from that delivery. And we want to make sure that as our drivers out there working hard, going through the rain, getting your food to you, that they're getting compensated fairly for that. So when we set up our delivery areas, we try to structure it around a 15-minute drive time. And that also, we did a lot of testing and figuring out what the food, how far food can travel before French fries get soggy, for things that are toasted.
Because that's kind of a bummer too, when you get your food and it's cold and you're kind of like,
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure that those areas kind of fit the time frame. We designed a special bag to make sure that we can insulate the food appropriately. And then the other thing, just to make sure we don't ever have that happen, is we have the option for anyone at any time to go into their app. They can open up the side tab bar. And there's a settings, there's a help and support area down there, and you can open up a live chat with a real person, someone who's sitting in Lafayette. You can talk with them, and you can say, hey, this wasn't satisfactory, and we don't want to deliver, or do we think you should rely on something that's not satisfactory?
Right.
So we have people open up tickets when sometimes the food gets a little delayed, and we're willing to work with them. If they give us a chance to make sure we can make it right, we will. So
how do you guys choose the restaurants that you partner with? Do y'all do restaurant recruiting? Is it restaurants that you guys really like? Do the restaurants come to you? All three? How does it normally work with the restaurants that get chosen?
We go and talk with all the restaurants in the areas that we're at, and we really are looking for what kind of restaurants want to partner with us. They have to kind of be willing to kind of work with it around kind of the ways that our app is set up. So we want to make sure we go and send a professional photographer in there and get all those photos taken. We want to make sure we can get their menu uploaded online. We have to set up a technology. So I don't know if you know how it works in the restaurant, but we set up a little tablet that sits on their back desk near the kitchen, and the orders come in, and then you hit a few. Every time an order comes in, they select a prep time. So they say, well, this food is going to take us a certain amount of time,
right?
And they pin that in. Once that goes in, then that's when it notifies the customer how long the food's going to take. So we have to make sure that they're willing to do this, because we want to make sure that they'll be able to offer the service to customers that we kind of the standard that we kind of hold. So we always are looking for new restaurant partners. If we go out and talk to them, we try to kind of show them the value and what Waiter's about. We also have people come reach out to us and they just want to be on the platform. As long as it's within our delivery areas, we really will add the people who are willing to partner and want to offer that great service.
So in other cities, they have things like Uber Eats and Grubhub and other delivery services. Do you have any fears about those coming into the Lafayette market and what they might do for business?
We definitely don't have fears. We monitor those businesses. I mean, any smart business, you got to see what your competitors are doing and watch those. But we know that we focus so heavily on making sure the restaurant is happy with the service, on building out tools that help them, that if someone were to come in on that kind of side, they're not restaurant driven. They don't understand what it's like to own and what it's like to run a restaurant. That's not their business. That's what we do. That's what we focus on. We had a lot of restaurateurs to tell us how we should build our product and show us what things actually work in a restaurant. So as long as we keep focusing on making the food amazing and making the restaurant happy, I mean, it's something that we've positioned ourselves differently than them. So
I don't think we mentioned this earlier when we were talking about delivery drivers, but you guys are always hiring, correct?
Oh, yeah,
and where can people go if they're interested in becoming a delivery driver for Waitr?
So they can go to our website, which is just waiterapp.com, WAITRAPP.com. And there's job postings. You can just go to become a driver and fill out a short little thing, and it'll send it off to one of our city managers here. And then he'll get back in touch with you. And there's other positions that we will have openings for. So, I mean, always look for that if you're kind of looking to get into the tech startup space, because we're always looking, especially engineers. We're always looking for software engineers so we can keep rolling out new versions of our app.
So holiday hours, what are you guys going to be open for the holidays coming up? People may be interested in that.
So we will be closed on Christmas Day. And the only other day we close is Thanksgiving Day. On Christmas Eve, we'll close a little bit early, and that's just because our restaurant partners are closed.
Right.
There's no real point to have a delivery service if there's no food to be delivered. So we work with when we decide that, we work with the restaurants to make sure that we'll have a good enough options for everybody. So yeah, Christmas Day and Thanksgiving Day are the only days we'll be closed.
And we had talked New Year's Eve is pretty much like regular as
yeah.
the restaurants are open, because I know I'm sure some of them close early for that.
Yeah.
For that, okay.
But yeah, you can get your food for your parties delivered for sure.
Yeah.
Do a group order. Have a Waitr party. We've had a few people do that before. They'll write up the group order on a big piece, like a big whiteboard or something. And then as everyone comes in, it's like, here's our group order. We're submitting it at this time. And everyone places their order, and then it all just comes in one big truckload of food.
I actually saw on one of the meat houses that is on Waitr that you can actually order a turducken.
Yep.
So you can order, I mean, not necessarily all of your groceries, but you can get your meat products delivered from different slaughterhouses around Acadiana. So that was kind of cool. Yeah. And it was kind of reasonably priced. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that you can get a turducken for that price. So that's pretty cool. Do you think in the future the application will be able to allow multiple people? So right now, multiple people can order from the same restaurant, but have multiple people, or even one person say, oh, I want French fries from this restaurant, but I like the milkshakes at this other restaurant, that they would be able to, on one order, do two different restaurants?
So right now, it's not something that we're really toying around with, just because it starts getting complicated we have to have the prep times line up, because we don't.
And then the driver
we
as
don't, We don't really
well.
like the food to be sitting there. So if one restaurant's slammed and one restaurant's not, and so the French fries are done in 5 minutes flat, but then the next thing you order is going to take another 30 minutes. it would have a weird kind of delay time, and then we wouldn't be able to offer you the best possible. So we're not really trying to connect those orders, but we are going to recommend just that families, when they do things like that, they still can order from multiple locations. I mean, they can place them as different orders and just have. The cool thing about that is you get fresh food from every single one, because it'll be 3 different drivers if you order from 3 places, and they'll all go get the food as soon as it's ready, and then bring it right to you, and you can have a good little family feast there.
There you go. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Addison.
Thank you.
It's been really fun.
Yeah.
That's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. This has been Tiffiany Deku on News Talk 96.5 KPEL, and this has been the Lafayette Food Junkie Show. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy eating, Acadiana.